direction in this week's RPM, in fact hundreds of them, as we feature the handbrake kings in the Toyota Supertest. These guys are certainly not backward at coming forward. The Autotest Drivers Club have brought together the best in the business for the Toyota Supertest, which has been organised in association with the North Down Borough Council. And the best in the business in Ireland literally means the best in the world in this highly specialised form of motorsport. This, above all other forms, is where precision counts, and it has proved in the past to be an excellent training ground for both rallying and racing.
Welcome to Bangor Marina on this beautiful sunny September day. Now we're here for the Toyota Supertest, a knockout tandem auto test between 30 of the top drivers in Ireland. Now in conventional auto tests, it's just man and car against the clock. But in these tandem auto tests, the drivers compete against each other, 2 at a time on identical tests and in a range of cars, specials, minis and larger saloons. Watching the sport, but now I'm going to get to see it from the Sam Bowden point of view, and I've just realised that I don't have any life insurance. Really missed out on this one.
2 of our youngest and very best competitors start the action. On the left we've Stephen Ferguson from Stewartstown, and on the right Jonathan McDade from Castledurg. Both 19 years old, and both, as you can see, in the mini class. McDade's car is very much a lightweight machine with that cutaway door, and there's absolutely nothing in it between these two at the moment. Stephen, which we're looking at now, the son of Norman Ferguson, very, very experienced Autotest family, and Jonathan shares this car with his dad, who we'll see in action later on during the afternoon. So there's the test. Hit one of those penalties and it's an extra 5 seconds. And look how close they are. They're through the last manoeuvres, just coming up to the line, and who is it? We'll have to look at the photo finish, and there's nothing in it, but I think it was just McDade, literally by a bumper. So now it is all to do for this man. Stephen Ferguson really has to go for it now. Is it going to go to 3 runs, this one? It is desperately close again. Stephen Ferguson on the right in the blue Mini. And it looks like the yellow Mini's just ahead at the moment. He boxes it beautifully, or puts it into the garage, as we say in Autotest manoeuvres. And there's really nothing in it at the moment. There's young Jonathan McDade, full of concentration as he bangs the car into first, or wheezes it into first. Really, they're incredible. The whole trick is to lock the wheels, and that's easier on the gearbox. Economy of line. Down into the final manoeuvre, and there's absolutely nothing in it, dear, and I couldn't split that one. In fact, it's a dead heat. It goes to round 3. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. So here we go, and this is to get to progress in this knockout competition. Jonathan McDade again in the very lightweight Mini. They're both completely stripped out, no passenger seats. Anything that is of any sort of weight is thrown away, and definitely Ferguson, I think, is ahead at the moment. Jonathan McDade then, a lot of work to do here. Ferguson still fractionally ahead. Stephen Ferguson, 1999 Beginners Autotest champion. Doesn't do that much of it these days, but you wouldn't know by watching him here. Coming up now to the final maneuver. We'll have to have the photo finish camera at the ready. It's going to be a real close one again. A lot of smoke from Ferguson's car. I can't tell from here who it is, but it's McDade who gets through by 0.4 of a second. Now we move on to what they laughingly call the large saloons, but this is about as large a saloon really that's effective in this class, and these of course are the Vauxhall Novas. And a very experienced man you're looking at here indeed in Raymond Donaldson from Dungannon, who's been a mini saloon, large saloon, and Ken Wharton test member for many years. His opponent in a very similar car is Colin Ernie from Cumber, who you're looking at now, the rent-a-truck car there. In fact, he works for that company. And he's back into auto testing this year after a few years layoff. Again, a man who's had a lot of experience and a lot of wins in the past, so they're very evenly matched, these two. Virtually identical cars and identical talents behind the wheel. And once again, we're going to have an incredibly close finish here. Colin gets across the line first by 0.4 of a second, and as Raymond has won the first heat, it's now all to do on the third run. They swap over. So, Colin Ernie versus Raymond Donaldson in the little Vauxhall Novas, and here they go. Colin Ernie now this time on the left, Raymond Donaldson on the right, and if anything I think Donaldson is just a fraction ahead at the moment. A man who puts an enormous amount of work into auto testing, both on the organizational and the driving side, neatly into the box, and look, the car never really stops. The front wheels are spinning the minute it comes to a halt to get going again. That's what it's all about, and look how close they get to those markers. So Donaldson going to go forward in this competition definitely now, because Ernie's got a 5-second penalty. That's him out of it. Donaldson really can coast home now, and he's going to go through to the next round.
So Raymond Donaldson probably didn't know it at the time, but that moves him forward, but he had a good time as well at 49.7 to 51.0.
So as the Autotest Drivers Club mop up the remains, we move on now to the mini specials, and this is probably where you're going to get, likely to get one of the overall winners from. A very interesting contest because we've got JJ Farrell on our left, but this is Paul Swift, our only English competitor here today. A very famous family because his father, Russ Swift, makes a living out of auto testing. He is a very famous demonstration driver, but this is a big opposition for him here with JJ Farrell. JJ Farrell, currently the Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland Auto Test champion on your left there in the blue car. And Farrell looks to be fractionally ahead. Young Paul Swift very much has been doing auto testing since he was a very small age in a very small mini, in fact a little reduced mini that his father specially made for him for demonstration purposes. But JJ is really the man on heat at the moment of this year, and he takes that win. So JJ Farrell 55.1 as opposed to Paul Swift's 55.4. Very respectable time indeed for Paul Swift. Now they swap over. Paul really is up against it this time. We watch JJ coming off the line. There's young Paul Swift. One hand on the handbrake all the time. And you notice the little knob in the steering wheel that enables them to twirl the steering wheel around very rapidly. We notice that JJ uses quite a large steering wheel in his mini special. And there's very little in it this time indeed as they come down to the garage for the second time. Paul nicely through that maneuver, grimacing a little bit. He's trying hard. He's come a long way today to compete here in Bangor, but he's a little bit behind, I think, at the moment. It's looking good for JJ. Round the pylons for the last time, down the center, and over goes the blue car, just ahead, but only just. Well done, Paul Swift. Already we're losing some of the big names as we move towards the quarterfinals. The hard-trying David Jenkins in his VW buggy, Trevor Faulkner, Poetry and Motion in an MG Midget, young Ashley Lamont, a star of last year's festival competition, and Harold Hazard, who makes a big saloon look very small. The very on form Norman Ferguson, and the multiple Autotest champion Eamon Byrne. Not to mention the spectacular Noel Cochran in his Ford Special. And another Autotest superstar, Robert Dixon, buys out in the qualifying rounds.
Auto-testing is fast and furious stuff, a great test of driving skill and car control, and it's where top rally drivers like Colin McRae cut their teeth. To be successful in this game, you need to be good at changing direction quickly, and there are 2 basic techniques to master. Robert, that looks incredibly difficult. How do you manage to do that and keep the car going in the right direction?
Well, basically it's just a matter of car control with the throttle and clutch and brake. As you're reversing back, just turn the steering with as much power on reverse, and as you're just about to complete the 180 degrees, select first gear and keep the power in.
Now for the heat that could have been the final. Head-to-head come 2 of the greatest auto testers of all time. On the left, Sam Bowden in his Westfield, and on the right, Ken Irwin in his similar Caterham 7. And we're on board at the moment with Ken. There's Sam, 37 years old, multiple champion, 9 times Northern Ireland champion, 5 times Republic of Ireland champion, British champion, a superstar if ever there was one. And he goes on the handbrake in the little Westfield. He's moved to sports cars this year. Ken Irwin, 61 years old, a grandfather, and 6 times Northern Ireland champion. But this is the man that's going to be very hard to beat. Sam Bowden looking fractionally ahead at the moment. Ken now into the last manoeuvre, heading towards the line, but is it quick enough? We'll see in the replay. Sam gets that one, so Ken must win the second run to stay in the competition. And here he goes. 12 times winner of the Ken Wharton competition over in England, and Sam the 9 times Northern Ireland champion. What a challenge, these 2, both in sports cars, both on the same handicap. And these really are the master of masters. The Jedis, you might say, of auto testing. And look at Sam, look how he avoids, look how he places the car for the next manoeuvre. It's almost like a game of chess. Looking at the back there of Sam's car as we went on the handbrake and spun around. He was so close to that little object there, but he didn't touch it. Sam goes through, 2 wins in a row, and I'm afraid we must say goodbye to Ken. What a pity. We're steaming ahead to the quarterfinals in the Toyota Supertest, and at the first of these quarterfinals, it's Eric Patterson in the large saloon versus Glenn Irwin in the mini. And we lose last year's winner, Eric Patterson, to Glenn Irwin when Glenn beats the 1.6 second handicap to defeat the very talented Dungannon driver. The second quarterfinal features Eddie Peterson versus JJ Farrell, both in mini specials and both on the same time. It's JJ who we're looking at now and on board with versus this man Peterson from Dublin, both South of Ireland drivers. JJ, the slightly more experienced, coming from that motoring dynasty of the Farrell family. His dad was a rallycross champion, and his uncle was a navigator with the great Austin McKay. This is Peterson, whose family are also in the motor business. We're on board with him at the moment as he handbrakes it round there. We're going to get a wider view now in a second. We'll see which one of these is ahead. It's looking good for JJ at the moment. He's heading towards the line. There he goes, and by the clapping we can tell that he's the winner quite easily there from Eddie Patterson. So JJ goes through to the semi-finals. The second quarter-final, Mervyn Gregg gets a start, a handicap start over Sam Bowden in his extraordinary yellow mini special there. This is a rear-wheel drive mini engine at the back of this car, and Mervyn from Maherafelt, general businessman and relative newcomer to auto testing. That's not what you can say about Sam Bowden. So Sam Bowden has a lot of time to make up here, though. He's really going to have to go for it. We're on board with Sam as we handbrake round the obstacles, heading down the back end. And already Mervyn's in that garage, and you can see him twirling away the steering wheel. We're catching up fast, but is it fast enough? And look, Mervyn's still ahead. One maneuver to go. Can Sam possibly get it in one maneuver? It's desperately close. But Bowden gets it and gets the second heat to go into the semi-finals. But well done, Mervyn Gregg. Tommy McDade's excellent day comes to an end in the 4th quarter-final, but he fails to beat his handicap and is defeated by Colin Ernie in the large saloon category to decide the final cast for the semi-finals. The other basic Autotest technique is the handbrake turn, and who better to demonstrate than Sam Bowden.
Pretty impressive stuff there, Sam. So come on, what's the secret to a perfect handbrake turn?
To describe what I've just done there, you accelerate up to the cone that you want to go around, turn the steering, pull the handbrake, and then you control it on the throttle after that. When you come down to reversing here again, power down, handbrake on, steer around, and get her into reverse when you're pointing the direction you want to go, and that's it.
And now on to the semi-finals, and the first one will be between JJ Farrell and Glenn Irwin, and Glenn has a 1.9 second start. We're aboard with JJ, who is in hot pursuit at the moment. So Glenn in the top on his Mini and JJ in the Mini Special, obviously a little bit lighter, a little bit quicker, and better visibility, of course, on a nice dry day like this. Not always the case. So JJ really going for it now. And what a year he's had. Northern Ireland Autotest champion, Republic of Ireland Autotest champion, and this is Glenn, who again related to a very, very famous family. He's the nephew of Ken Irwin, who we saw in action earlier, and his dad, Charlie Irwin, is also a well-known Autotester, but JJ gets it.
54.0 to 54.9. And they change over.
And that's how close it was. Now they change over, so Glenn really has to go for it. Off the line comes JJ Farrell, 1.9 seconds behind at this point. Glenn maintaining that advantage at the moment. JJ once again weaving through the obstacles and being very, very careful to keep away from them. Glenn in the box and away. Where's JJ? He is urging that little Mini Special on. Bouncing up and down to get extra traction over the front wheels. In the box for the second time, Glenn. And we can see Glenn in the left-hand side there. Is he far enough ahead? It's absolutely neck and neck. It's going to be a battle to the line. JJ is very maneuverable over the line. He just gets it. Just and no more. And there you can see how close that was. So JJ has got himself a place in the final. Now, who's going to be the other finalist? Is it going to be Colin Ernie on the left, or is it going to be Sam Bowden? So Colin Ernie with a considerable handicap here, getting away ahead, and Sam Bowden in hot pursuit. And here he goes. Look at the concentration in that face. Beauty. He hasn't made a mistake all day. Quite a large car proportion-wise for Autotesting the Westfield. A lot of car to tuck into these little tight objects. Colin Ernie now is fighting for his life in this semi-final against the great Sam Bowden, and here he goes, throws the rent-a-truck Nova. Don't be stuck, he said, and he's not getting stuck. He's keeping away from those pylons. He mustn't get a fault, but Sam Bowden has it. He's beaten the handicap.
56.9.
So the stage is set for a super showdown in the Toyota Super Test. Sam Bowden, the Stewartstown maestro, who has won the Northern Ireland Autotest title no less than 9 times, the Republic Series 5 times, and the British Championship. And up against him, the newcomer, comparative newcomer, JJ Farrell, the young southern driver who comes from a motoring dynasty. And what a year he's had. Northern Ireland champion, Republic of Ireland champion. Can he take the TV trophy home with him? Sam goes off the line in the final. First heat of the final. JJ Farrell just behind him, and Sam has had a slight handicap start there. Round he goes, round the pylon. This car being bigger and a little bit heavier, of course, than the Mini Special. We're on board with Sam as we look over the shoulder of this maestro as he just twirls the car around the pylons. There's nothing in it as they come up, but a little bit slow there. JJ was a bit slow getting into gear, and that could have cost him dearly. Sam, is he fractionally ahead? It's very hard to tell. He's definitely ahead now in the last maneuver. Sam Bowden's going to get this one. So Sam, one up for him. And there you see it in the replay, quite clearly ahead. So JJ Farrell, that missed gear change cost him a lot of time. Off he goes again. Now he's really got to go for it because he's coming from behind. So the Heinz car, he's accounted with that company. And there must be 57 varieties of ways of pulling a handbrake in this machine, but he certainly knows the right one. He's on the chase. He's up against it. The young man versus the king at the moment. Down he goes, and look at the concentration in that face. But Bowden doesn't give under pressure. Again, he does that maneuver absolutely beautifully. JJ really head down, concentrating. Maybe not the most stylish thing in the world, but certainly effective. And he's just a fraction ahead. He's going to win this one. JJ gets the second one. It's going to be the perfect end to the day, a runoff for the Toyota Super Test final. And look at the concentration in the face. Off he goes, that fractional start over his rival. JJ is determined to chase him down. And there's nothing in it. Sam a little bit ahead over the line. We're on board with JJ as he goes for one of the biggest prizes of his life. Out they come out of the box. Round this pylon again. They mustn't touch one of these. It's the deadly 5-second penalty. Handbraking into the box now for the second time. And there's really nothing in it. Back with JJ. Round he goes in the handbrake. No mistake so far. Can he beat the Westfield? Can he beat the great Sam Bowden? It's got to be nothing in it, but the Mini's so nimble on that last manoeuvre, and he takes it. And boy, is that guy delighted.
JJ's had a successful year, a very good year. Well done, JJ. I got a bit tired myself in the car, got as tired as I was, so I think that made the difference, but well done, JJ.
And JJ, congratulations. What do you think made the difference there at the end?
I don't know, the first run through, I missed the gear off the top and it really was holding me up, and then the last run there, Sam just seemed to be a bit slower than he had been previous, so just nicked it, but there was nothing in it, and it was a good day and really enjoyed it now.
So Sam, the shoemaker of this extraordinarily precise form of motorsport, receives his award from the Mayor of North Down, Councillor Ian Henry. Marvin Gregg gets the Driver of the Day award. And the Man of the Day and indeed of the Year in Autotesting is JJ Farrell. If Sam is the shoemaker of the handbrake kings, JJ must be the Montoya. And if you can match and let alone beat the Stewartstown superstar, you're undoubtedly destined for greatness.